Good afternoon, folks. You might see I'm zoomed into a 5-minute chart here to see some divergences that have really shaped up for us down below that daily expected move. I think there's something to look into there. Let's get this off the screen so you guys know that I am here today. Just a quick note at the beginning of this video, I just wanted to mention how those courses are 90% off. It ends this week, so you're probably going to hear me being annoying about it for one more week, just notifying people in case they haven't seen a video or something like that, that those courses are out there if you need to learn about how to find signals, even like this one, because this one can add up to be something. And I'm going to show you something that in the technical indicators course you might have caught today if you've already taken that course. So as we zoom out into a 30-minute, we can just see here that we have some divergence on the Qs, guys. We have some divergence on the Qs. Now, will that lead to overall big things to the upside? Well, it could lead to a 2-hour curl up. So I just want you to be aware, you do have this, it hasn't confirmed, but by the end of the day, we have a 68% chance to land right in this area. And wouldn't that cause this to tick up just a little bit? So pay attention, because as I zoom in on the Qs for the 30-minute, and the 5-minute has all those divergences in there, this could mean we're actually going to see upside for the next day or so. Now, when we zoom into this, you can see that obvious move upward there for the MACD. When we zoom into the RSI, you're going to see a very obvious move upward here for the MACD. Now, this isn't necessarily oversold or anything like that. A lot of the time I do like it to be oversold, but as we're approaching the end of the day where some volume could come in, we could just see this thing cross up. We go like this, and then we have a 2-hour that is going to go make a divergence. Remember, guys, we were talking about the overall reversal signal that I'm looking for is a 2-hour divergence to curl that daily chart back over. And if you do this and then we get something like Nvidia earnings, something bad could happen. We could see that move all the way up to here, right? So we're paying attention to what's going on. As of right now, 30-minute divergence on the Qs. You do not see it for the SPY. It's a very important thing to note as we look into this 30-minute for the SPY. We do not see that divergence, okay? You do not see it. Some stuff you're seeing potential reversals on, though, like Tesla. I want you to look how these bottoms are really adding up here, and we could see another upward move. If we just curl up on this MACD, we are closer to the center line. Not necessarily the best looking divergence in the world, but it is showing a little bit of momentum, looking like it might want to shift back in the upward direction. And boy, oh boy, are we going to get all the way up towards 234? We will find out. Let's just click through some of these. I mean, Amazon was one that was showing some divergence down towards 174.51. We were talking about this breaking down, retesting that 174.51. You have divergence there as well. And you still need confirmation of a lot of these things, okay? Now, the reason I'm going to say you need confirmation of some of these things, if you can't tell, guys, if you can't tell, I have been doing a lot of looking at charts while we've been waiting, and it looks like we could see some positive price action for the next day or so, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, and it kind of sucks to say that, but you do have to take it with a grain of salt, because even though you're seeing volatility curl down on the 30-minute, and most likely this does mean positivity, it could mean something is brewing. It could mean something is going to cause an upward move over the next couple of days, and then that could be given up. But what if we don't even see that upward move, because the dollar is trying to still base out down here? You have 2-hour divergence, you have 4-hour divergence, and these type of things can curl up daily MACDs. We're in a key area here for the dollar. And if that thing sees some upside, that could be a bad thing. But just note, we could see a period of time where the dollar goes up and the stock market goes up. And that's what we want to pay attention to. And the reason I'm also looking into that is because of gold. Gold really showing some topping patterns up in here, looking like it's struggling to break out. Now, we'll see what happens with this going forward, but that's just something to pay attention to. Meta seeing more of a drop-off at this point. We can go into a 30-minute and see how we're consolidating sideways. Will that be able to base out, maybe retest the breakdown area, or take some price action back? We'll see. But for the most part, we want to pay attention to the Qs. I think the Qs are something very good to pay attention to. Notice that we are using the bottom daily expected move as resistance at this point. So if these do confirm, then the most likely thing would be that this is going to start to see some upward price action over the next day or so. But is that short-lived, and is the dollar going up with this at the same time? Over on the SPY, we create some kind of divergences up here at the highs that gives us a daily divergence. So I'm paying attention to a lot of things. You're going to hear me talk about a lot of things. I just wanted to give out some info at the beginning of this video. And I think the main takeaway is pay attention to the cues. They have reversal signals here for the 30-minute, and the 5-minute is just now starting to go positive. Now, that doesn't mean it has to go up right now. We could curl down, get that double bottom going on. Looks like we almost have a double bottom at this point right here, so we can pay attention to that. But the main thing is, hey, this is going positive. 30-minute curls up right now. We could see some positive price action as the dollar continues to look like it wants to pull down genuinely. It looks like it really wants to curl down on maybe even a little 30-minute or something like that. Just see a brief curl down and then curl back up. What are you guys thinking? How are your plays going for the day? I hope everyone's doing good out there. I think we'll just keep a close eye on the cues for the end of the day. Adding to my SQQQ short position, price right price for Friday. SQQQ could break below $7. That's where the computer's fat finger says it 2 weeks ago. Power hour, yeah, power hour time. It's time, the last hour. And yeah, SQQQ. I'm not in no way am I saying, you know, SQQQ can't even print tomorrow. I'm just saying this is a reversal signal to pay attention. If that crosses up, then the Qs could experience positivity for a little bit of time. But right as everyone gets euphoric, what if right around here, or maybe all the way up into here, we start to see Nvidia earnings really falter on the market? I think that would be something to pay attention to. I'm not necessarily leaning towards that. I really think they would use Nvidia to keep the market higher. So showing some negativity in Nvidia might not be the best thing. But what if Nvidia is going to be the negative thing, and then we get towards September 9th, and then jobs data is the positive thing? That would be telling. That would be interesting. Expiry January 2025. Yeah, longer outdated options on that. DJT, it still looked okay. It just looks like, hey, it might not be the moment just yet, right? When that 2 hour curls over, you got to be like, okay, maybe that's not the moment anymore. And then if it curls back up, you can reapply a position. That's overall what it is. You haven't tapered at all in this, right? We seem to just be heading down. So you would need to see some form of tapering to really be convinced that's it. But I mean, that was great price action last week. It was great price action last week, and it curled up the daily scale. So it might just be a brief turn down, and then it turns right back up. We'll see. As far as it goes with AMC, that one was trying to turn up, but notice this. It needs to close up by that 515, 520 mark in order to curl up this MACD. And you're noticing right here, it hits the Bollinger Band. Funny thing with the Bollinger Band, a lot of the time on the daily scale, you'll see the Bollinger Bands kind of add up to what the ranges are for the week, like the expected moves. A lot of the time will look like this, so that's interesting. Sometimes I just wonder if options data controls Bollinger Bands a little bit. Maybe I need to do some research into that, but for the most part, you would say, notice how it hits the top Bollinger, and boom, they're like, no, that's all we expect. No. And just still waiting to see if this thing can turn up. Love the Tesla 220 calls, and I'm actually thinking that might be a good thing. We'll see if this is able to curl up. I think you got a decent move here for Tesla coming, so that could be interesting. And then I can go check my weekly expected moves, and if I see that turn up, I can maybe take a play, look at my weekly expected moves, and go, okay, where is that thing going to go to? Well, it's going to go to this zone. So if you see positivity for a couple of days, you can end up in this zone up above you, kind of a seller zone. But we haven't seen anything confirm yet. So as we're in this last hour, usually, I mean, even down to the last 30 minutes, usually it's even the last 30 minutes you see a big amount of volume come in. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. The only thing worrying me about even more of a downturn is you're seeing not the best signals. Like if I go out to an hourly, you're going to be like, okay, that is a bad looking signal for the Dow. So I'd pay attention to that. If we look at a 2 hour, you're like, that's not a great signal for the Dow. So the Dow could easily end up turning down from here. I'm just wondering if we see one blip upward before that actually happens. Like in the market, I think it'd be nice just because we noticed that the PCC has remained relatively high for most of the day, right? And we noticed the dollar was moving down whenever the market moved down. We saw the dollar move down, so kind of consolidating, but we'll see what comes through with this. It's just telling me there could be some kind of rigged move up, and then I want to pay attention if I'm seeing that same rigged behavior, if it's going to be some kind of trap. Ow, I just hit my elbow. I don't know if anyone heard that. My goodness, I just elbowed the crap out of a piece of metal. How did I do that? So yeah, it's kind of a two-story thing. So what I ended up doing was I'm going to take a small position for upside, and then I do still have my volatility play intact. So now I can say, ooh, play both ways a little bit, and whichever one happens first, I can sell that option. Very, very cool. For it looked like the target for downside was that downward daily expected move for the SPY. We come down into that. We don't go negative. That's a key thing. But still, the probabilities right now would say downside more potential until this curls up, until we really see this get a good bar here, curl up on this, then we can start to head in the upward direction. We'll find out from here. Q's showing that divergence. That's why I keep talking about a little bit of upside if we can experience some green here at the end of the day. How's the hook and ladder? I wasn't able to. It's actually laundry day for us, so and our laundry stuff doesn't really work, so we had to go over to Abuela's to wash some stuff. So I had to pretty much chill at the house all by myself, which is perfectly fine with me because it allows me to really get my head on my shoulders and be like, okay, let me try to figure out what's going on with this market right now. And to me, it just looks like, hey, if we're not going to drop now, if we shouldn't really be paying attention to the Dow starting to roll down, right? Starting to roll down on these 2-hour charts, curl down on this with the weakness in momentum. If that's not going to happen and show some negativity right now, then what would we see? We might see positivity with this little divergence, see a 2-hour curl up briefly, right? Because this is what we're looking for. We're looking for a divergence on the 2-hour for that weakness. We got overbought over here. We're way up high on this MACD. So what if we just go like this and then we start to drop? That's kind of what I'm looking for at this point, seeing if we get any kind of upward move that kind of gives us a topping signal where that daily can finally roll over. And even from there, it doesn't mean necessarily that we are, you know, crashing down into oblivion. This could react up, create that little handle, and then we actually start to head up over time as that daily curls down and curls back up. So this still would be a bad signal for if that daily crossed over. I got to treat it as bad, but I know if that curls back up, then positivity will be there. Most of the time the market's bullish, so I should lean in that way with where price and his action, where price action is right now. As of right now, rejecting off of the downward daily expected move. So we're going to see what happens with that. That sounded like the not funny bone. It actually was like spot right next to my funny bone. Gosh, like another centimeter to the left and my funny bone was gone. Key thing here though, volatility is showing this curl down. If that continues here into negative territory, then again, another tick for the higher price action. It's just interesting to see the Dow give a signal like this, where if it did cross over, that would get pretty ugly. So that would be interesting. Seeing some reversal signals in XLU at the same time as right now, creating the daily divergence that SPY pretty much does have right now. So there's just a lot to look at today, which is fun. It makes the market more entertaining, right? It makes it more entertaining in my eyes. Amazon, yeah, okay, David, I did look at Amazon. I actually kind of like this a little bit. You've seen some good tapering here, good downward price action, really starting to curve out, and you're seeing a tiny little blip here. We'll see if that's able to fully cross up, give us some good price action. We were looking for what? A reaction down to 174.51, and that's exactly what we got. We got that reaction. Now we got to see, can this really go positive? Let's look at where that 2 hour's at. Well, the 2 hours is really close to the center line. So if you were going to turn up into positive territory, maybe create a little divergence or something like that, wouldn't that be the look? Wouldn't this be it? Down towards the center line, curls up into positive territory, and boom. So 30-minute here showing a bunch of little divergences. I think this is weakness in momentum. Obviously, anything can happen. But if you're managing that risk, you see this curl up. Okay, this goes like that, curls down. Right here, you know to manage that risk. So yeah, it has a decent look to it, David. It does like to be hit in the afternoon, Short Fridays. That like button really likes to be punched in the afternoon. On draft, is that DraftKings? DraftKings, a sell-off would make sense. A sell-off would make sense, but you always want to be aware that there could be one more upward move to really trap people. right? This is showing that, oh, it's breaking down, it's coming down to the low, everyone gets bearish, and then it just goes like that for a brief moment, and then it tears down. Make sure your timing's all right, but I understand it. The moment for that was about right here on this thick red bar. So that's heading down. Is it curling over the 2 hour? Yes, it is. So right now you would be in 2 hour pullback mode. It doesn't mean you can't see a little reaction like this, but for the most part, you would say, hey, that there is a 2 hour, even has a little 2 hour divergence in it. So if it wants to experience some weakness here, it is possible. DraftKings probably giving a little hourly divergence there with that tapering. Nvidia's the big dog we want to pay attention to as well. Finally, I mean, this 2 hour is pretty damn close to that center line. You've gotten it out of those overbought conditions, so it could see up. Maybe it sees the big upward move before earnings, right? We see some kind of reaction up for a day and a half, and then earnings comes out, and you see this type of signal. And then after earnings, right, you want to react to more after earnings, or be looking at other stocks that look like that as well, right? I'd look for another stock that looks like that. Instead of trading Nvidia, I will not be taking Nvidia trades. American Airlines has some kind of daily divergence, you're saying? Yeah, we saw the daily divergence here. I believe we talked about this maybe even 2 weeks ago. Seeing that daily divergence confirm. Okay, off to the races. Now you're in a breakdown area. So if you did want to pull back, right, you're still near that center line. So if you need to, this thing could flush and go like that first before something good happens. But if that's not going to happen, then this 2 hour is going to be able to curl back up. So really pay attention to your 2 hour. This is great to move sideways at the breakdown area, right? At this breakdown area. We see that moving sideways, getting close to that center line. One little pop up like this curls up that MACD. You could be off to the races, right? So that's what I'd pay attention to for this guy. Obviously, you got to wait for those reactions. If bigger time frames, 4 hours start to curl down, you got to make sure to be paying attention to that, because a 4 hour could, really send you lower. All right. So even though there's daily divergence and it looks all right, you just have to pay attention to how you can get hurt, and that'll help you. It doesn't mean you have to react right now. It's just kind of make those mental notes like, okay, if this happens, I need to react. If this happens, I need to react. And that's how we go. Just looking, Banana Sam? I like it. I like it. Just looking around, looking at some charts. I like that. JetBlue, so a lot of transportation stuff going on, it seems, and this is going to overall be maybe a 2 hour pullback, right? You can see that just from that price action sideways. What do we notice? Well, we haven't even curled up on this daily MACD. You would have a slight divergence between this point on the RSI. Not necessarily on the MACD at the same time, but what does this mean? Okay, I might be trying to bottom out here, I might not. I'm really still trying to figure that out, is what this stock is telling me. So if this 2 hour though can actually go positive, that would be good, because this isn't actually a 2 hour pullback just yet. It looks like more so if we wanted something here, that 2 hour going positive is really the only thing to fully be able to pay attention to. Maybe even looking at that daily swing to the upside. But not the best look in the world, right? Thought American Airlines looked a little bit cleaner. LMT, this one here, we're seeing that upside move. So here on the daily, you're probably going to see a little 2 hour divergence in here. Let's go pop into that. You see the little 2 hour divergence at the high. Now you're carving that out. So here's the thing. Like, to me, it looks like upside is the most probable thing at this moment, unless this is some kind of trap. But for the most here, we need to just say the MACD is curled up. So until that curls down, I can't necessarily be overly bearish or something like that. So as far as it goes for gaps, I really like to use them for levels. I don't like to say too much. You'll hear me more so say support and resistance, or you'll hear me more so say important levels or something like that, where buyers could be, where sellers could be. That's more what I pay attention to with gaps. So if I go over here with the SPY, right? So if you just pay attention to why a gap happened, you can learn a lot more about gaps. Okay, you can. You can learn a ton more about gaps just paying attention to why you think this happened. Well, in this area right here, the best thing for us to do would probably be to slightly pull back, move sideways in this area to remain healthy, and then see that move up, go sideways, and then take some more time. we're speeding that up. So what does this tell me about this area right here? This area is very important. Well, what we can do is say, have we seen important things happen in this little box before? Well, we've seen another gap in that area. So right away, we know that this price point here is relatively important. And that's what we need to pay attention to with that. It just means this level is important. Now, why is this level important? Okay, well, because it's been used as support a lot, right? We've seen little supports in here. We've seen consolidation for that gap higher. Then we gave it up. What did we do? We went into it. We gap out of it. Okay, so again, we gap above it and head higher. It tells you that this level is very important. And what would that tell you? That would tell me if we get down to here, if we start losing that level, that's not going to be a good thing. Or if you get down to here and you kind of consolidate, you could gap below that level because you might want to skip that in case the buyers are lurking there. So it's not a gap is going to convince me to take a trade. I'm never looking like, oh, is it an island reversal? Is it this? Is it that? Are we going to reverse from it? No, I just pay attention. If that gap is kind of overbought like we are here, well, then I'm looking for some topping signals in this area. Doesn't mean it has to. It just means I can look for those type of signals. And as of right now, you see a little tiny rejection. Maybe we need to take that into consideration. Now, the only thing with that, with this gap down here is, are you going to really be able to get to there? You have gap support and you have all that. The reason you have things like gap support is because you skipped above that because you jumped above those sellers. Now those sellers will become buyers when this comes back down into that price action. I don't think that was the best explanation of how I treat gaps, but for the most part, I look for gaps to help me find levels of importance. A good example of this would be like something like Apple. Right? We used gaps all the time to help us out with Apple. We just noticed what? Well, there was a gap in here from this level down to this level. So we mark that off. We look back. We see support around that area. When we burst through it, what do? Well, we see a good move. Okay. And that's something to take into consideration with this gap. And then we see as time progresses, we see, oh, it held as resistance. It held as resistance. It held as resistance. So what would you want to do if you're a, I don't know, market maker or someone who controls the price of a stock or someone who wants to see a stock go up, who has more control? What would you want to do with this area since people keep selling in this area? Well, you'd maybe want to gap it above that so they don't allow those people who keep selling. Maybe it's just options traders who keep selling with these big pumps up. So if there was just a move like this, they might sell it again. So you'd more so just say, okay, gaps give me levels that show importance in the price action. And it will happen more so around big pieces of news like earnings and things like that. But you need to notice how this did not gap to here. This did not gap to the top of this. This gapped all the way into almost our other zone, our actual sell zone. And what happened? Well, sellers stepped in. We almost went to the top of the zone and then we ended up higher. So this is more where I like to pay attention to how gaps are behaving. And a lot of the time when you get gap above a zone, what do? You'll see that reaction down and then see the price action head back up. Pretty cool stuff there though. I like that look. Looks fun. Head and shoulders for the VIX on the daily forming. Let's go check that out real quick. See what you are seeing. Now, head and shoulders a little bit different for volatility. A lot of the time, some technicals go out. You more want to see what's going on with the volatility, what's going on with the SPY at the same time, maybe what's going on with the dollar or something like that. So just know the dollar is trying to turn up here. So volatility can turn around at any moment. We're not below that 200. But if you want to say this is some sort of, left head, right shoulder, I would get it. I'm more paying attention to if this closes below the 200. That's a pretty good squeeze signal. You have a 30-minute dropping down. If you wanted head and shoulders, it's actually happening today in the price action, in the reading. It's not price action. It's a reading for volatility. You see this base down here. Okay, left head, right shoulder. There you go. That's more the head and shoulders I'm paying attention to today. So is Apple looking like a short or a long? Well, I'm not going to tell you whether to short or long the thing. I'm just telling you this thing looks like it's piling up in this area for a long time. What does that tell me? Well, this is consolidation, right? This is consolidation. So if that 2 hour does curl up, you can see positivity. You can get lucky sometimes and see an hourly really close to the center line and that curls up. Hey, you might just break through and see an upward move. And then if you're part of the Patreon, which is down in the description, as well as those courses on sale, for the rest of only this week, right? You will get daily or weekly ranges, which when you get up to there, a lot of the time that's as high up as you'll go for the entire week. 68% chance to land back in that zone. Yeah, Waldo, I'm just telling, yeah, that's how momentum is. But you notice, you see blips. You notice how you see blips, right? We got this cross up on a negative bar there, a little bit of a red bar. So you just want to be able to react quickly if it starts to go the other way. But here you go, fake out, look like another fake out with that crossing. And then now we're trying to do it again. We'll see what happens. As far as Tesla goes, we can look over at Tesla. I really like this on the 30-minute chart right now. I think if this thing is able to curl up, you might see a big move to the upside, right? We've touched in this zone twice and we haven't been able to break down. So you notice this. What do we do? Well, a lot of the time, and this is where we can pay attention to gaps, right? We can pay attention again to gaps. All right, we gapped out of the zone. Okay, awesome. We gap into the zone. We head above it. What do? Well, we come back down into it. We retest, and then we head higher, right? And notice the last time we got out of the zone, big gap. So we just have a zone that's pretty important based on some stuff I've marked off. And we see, So if you touch on this zone a couple times, buyers, if those buyers step in, you can get a little W going on here. And there could be seasonal weakness coming. I just think that the way that the Qs are set up, I'm not saying it has to happen. I'm just saying the way the Qs are set up now, if you cross up on this MACD, it doesn't mean, oh, we're going to see upside forever. This is a 30-minute chart, right? Look at the top here. This is a 30-minute chart. So what does that tell me? That means we could see maybe, what, a day of positivity? Maybe two, if that 2-hour curls up. Not necessarily. I haven't used Heikin-Ashi candles like too much. I mean, I've tried to use them before. I just noticed that the price action itself seems to be better, but you can use that to cut out a lot of the some people would say cut out the FUD, right? Oh, do I not have Heikin-Ashi on here? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it can cut out a lot of the FUD happening, so you could see if things are positive. You notice that this bar completely changed. Now it looks a little bit different, okay? So we look at this. It looks more negative right now than it might be. So if that helps you out, that's fine. But for the most part, I just like general candles here. USO, I see turning down on the 30-minute. Well, USO, we could also look at just oil in general first, just to see what's going on with that. Well, the 2 hour has been climbing forever, right? This thing's been climbing forever. So as we go over to USO now, we can probably do this. See that 2 hour up really high, seeing a bunch of gaps higher. And what do we want to look for? Well, we want to look for something going on here. It looks like that 30-minute could experience a pullback. Would that be a good thing? Yes, it would. You're going up to a key level. If you could reach down, fill a gap, gain some of those buyers in this area, that could be a good sign. If you can get through all this gap, turn back up, well, you might just have a little cup and a handle going on here, right? So we'll pay attention to that, but for the most part right now, USO just saying 30-minute rolling down, so 30-minute pullback, whether that's with time or with the price action, either way, that can be bad for an option, right? So we want to make sure to be patient with this, watch that 30-minute get down close, and then turn back up, which is kind of what the Qs are doing at this point, right? The Qs are turning it down, but just doing it on a 2 hour, getting relatively closer to that center line. If you want to get it real close, you just click on the hourly. If that thing turns up, you could see a couple days worth of positivity from that. That's true. I know I could do that, but it kind of takes away from the fun. I like having to do all the mechanics on my screen. I call it mechanics, right? It's like a video game mechanics. I like having to do, like, I'll do all this squirming around. It's kind of fun for my ADHD brain. Yeah, if you guys ask me about anything, candles, anything else that's going on, like any other indicator or something like that, just note, if it is an indicator that you understand and you can use well, it doesn't really matter. Like, if it works for you, go with it. That's all I gotta say. Is like, if you have something that works for you that I do not use, it is perfectly fine to use that, right? is perfectly fine. So I just wanted to say that because some people get in the habit of just like, I have to do things like this YouTuber I see. You don't. You could end up better than me by getting one indicator, right? You have one indicator that I don't really pay attention to, but you figure out how to really use it, and then that can really help you out. So as far as it goes for natural gas futures here, which we might want to go into this. Maybe this would clear it up in the near term. Looking like that 2 hour really wanting to pull back. The thing is, you want to see daily, is that crossing over? If that daily crosses over, bad things for natural gas, right? Bad things for natural gas. And then if the 2 hour is able to turn back up, that would be a positive thing. So you're kind of looking at two things and then reacting to one of them. Just know that that downside for the daily could be brief because you could set up that divergence. Doesn't mean it has to. Does not mean it has to by any means, but that's just something I would keep in mind. Of course, Joe. I hope I looked at the right one for you. I felt like UNG. I feel like that one had a pretty good look to it, a better look to do some analysis. Okay, good. Good, Joe. I'm glad. I hope everyone's having a good day out there. We can keep our eye on a few that just look like they could see a pretty good move here. Nvidia, even if that curls up on the 30-minute, where is it? It's really close to the center line. So even though this is a bad signal, and this is what we say a lot of the time, and I want you guys to, since there's 78 people in here, the people who really come for those closing streams, always join, always like, you're subscribed. That's fantastic. I appreciate it. Now, you're probably wondering what I'm about to talk about. I'm about to talk about when we say something really bad could happen here, but if it turns up, then positivity is the most likely action. All right, so what does that mean? That whenever I say that, you need to pay attention to this because this is what's happening right now. It curled down. That means something really bad can happen. Does this look like a very, very strong signal for upside when this crosses down really close to the center line? No, it looks very weak. So something really bad could happen and it looked like it started to. And then it buys back up. So you say, this is really bad. But if it turns up, the most likely option is positivity, and that could be a good sign. So we'll look for if this can curl up soon. That's what we're paying attention to. And we got about 30 minutes left in our day. All right, guys, let's do a poll. Let's do a poll before we, get into too much here. Oh, wait, I do this. I do this. I do this. I go here. Start a poll. All right, guys. Let's ask a little question here. Does the QQQ, we got to use proper name. Does the QQQ end in its daily expected moves? All right, guys. Yes or no in the polls. Do the Qs end in its daily expected moves? All right, start poll. Let's see what you guys think. See what you guys are thinking. I was like, does the QQQ do the Qs? Oh, man. I know, a lot of things do look like they do need some sort of pullback, but this might be all the pullback that we get, right? This is still, in the terms of shorter time frames, a pullback, and then do they need to see the bigger pullback is more what you're probably getting at. Does that 4 hour really need to dig down deep? Does that daily need to dig down a little deeper? Something like that, I'm sure, is what you're more talking about. Massive pullback, says Stumble Pro. Yeah, maybe we'll ask about Nvidia before those earnings come out on Wednesday. All right, officially 30 minutes left. This is when things might start to pick up. So things that we can pay attention to. The PCC still remaining at 0.92, not the lowest, so nothing really there, but the dollar still trying to creep up while the market has fallen off. So that is actually showing pretty correlated at this moment. So it seems like the SPY has caught up to, and the dollar's not necessarily seeing that reaction down anymore. So we'll see. Nothing really too rigged happening here today. Seems like just some funkiness intraday that did take place. And then we have a divergence on the Qs to pay attention to. If you're wanting something like AMC to pop, you probably need this to get curling back up on a 30-minute, right? We notice that the daily, we're just seeing if that thing can cross up. That's a great move, and boom, gets clamped down on. VIX is trying to pop on a 5-minute chart, is what someone is pointing out. Thank you, Sid, for pointing that out. But for the most part, you need to pay attention to a little bit bigger time frame. And I know, this thing can turn back up at any time, but as of right now for volatility, the 30-minute crossing down in negative territory tells you that the sooner price action does say that volatility is going to turn down. That is what volatility is telling you at this moment, and the Qs have an argument for that. 2 hours starting to go negative here, and if this 4 hour really crosses down, you could have a 4 hour divergence. I think that's when we'll pay attention next. But where's that 4 hour divergence going to take place? Most likely all the way down in this area down here. Just so you're aware, if that does all happen, right? We can see that the dollar is trying to base out. It has the 4 hour divergence, so that can take over at any time. So it's kind of a tale of two sides at this moment. There's a good argument, I would say, for a slightly going lower or slightly going higher at this moment. What is the daily expected move for the Qs? You're pretty much testing it in this general area. But the daily expected move downside for it is 476 flat. So you have 484 flat, and then you have 476 flat. That's the one we keep reacting up towards. Yeah, I think that would make the most sense. That if we don't get overexcited before Nvidia earnings, then we would say, okay, Nvidia earnings is going to really dictate, are we going to head higher or are we going to head lower? Because it holds a pretty big weight. Notice this, the 5 minutes, see if that's able to curl down in the last period of the day as well. S&P doing a double top. On which scale, right? On which scale? A lot of people saying a bunch of double topping up in this. I would more so be looking for that daily to really extend out. And I think, and this is the Qs, I'm sorry, but the SPY trying to double top with this high. Well, something that they might need is, what about the headlines? They need the headlines. What if the headlines go, oh my gosh, markets go to all-time highs before Nvidia earnings. This is crazy, right? So that's what we're paying attention to. And then throughout this move, great positive move, positive territory. Even if this curls down, yeah, that's a bad sign. You should be like, that is bad. But if it curls right back up, what do you have? Maybe a little handle going on here, right? So I think that if they are going to seriously damage the market, what are they going to do? They're going to try to trap people with the all-time high narrative. I think that's something to take into consideration. If this 2 hour turns up and we get that little divergence point, what would this be? Where would that be? Uh-oh, that'd be a new all-time high. What would you also have up here? Daily divergence as well. So you'd have all of it if that move happened. I really like that. If that would happen, I would buy volatility with 2 hands and love it the whole way. But not seeing that as of right now. If anything, we're seeing a reason for upside, so we have to wait and be patient and see when this stuff is going to play out. See if this 30-minute can just cross up right here. So I'm going to try not to click around too much. Yeah, and I saw Bitcoin was suffering just a little bit here. But Bitcoin had that great move up on Friday. While the SPY was just like relatively flat. So I think we're waiting for that breakout moment and then consolidation, kind of like Bitcoin did, maybe. I wonder what the data for tomorrow has in store for us. Ooh, very 50-50 on the vote. Very 50-50 on the vote. I like it. One thing I would just mention going into tomorrow is we'll get that money supply number at noon, or well, towards the middle of the day. I don't want to say noon because obviously my time frames may be different than yours, but around the middle of the day, we'll get that money supply number. Right now sitting at 21.03 trillion. So we'll see what that number is. I think that would be interesting, and I want to see how people read into that. All right, guys, we're going to close down the vote in just a few seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just kidding, I'm gonna leave it up. It's only 2:35. Let's leave it up. Let's leave it up so you guys can keep voting. You know what I mean? Claudio just joined. You know, we got to get some more votes in there for our little poll that we're doing. Yeah, Claudio, since you missed out, just showing this 30-minute divergence, some consolidation happening on the Qs. We'll see how this plays out. This would be enough to create that little 2-hour divergence. And the thing about this 2-hour divergence is, remember, I said if this market wants to remain healthy, a solid dip down would be great, and then you see that curl up over time. But if we're not going to do that, and we're just going to do this, you might see where the SPY gives you that divergence and the Qs give you that lower high, and that is a signal for bad things to come. That is a lot of the time how markets top, is the Qs make a lower high. So we have to pay attention. It doesn't mean it has to happen, right? We always like to say that. It doesn't mean you can't do this, curl back down and curl right back up, but it would be a point to pay attention to for weakness, for potential for bad things. And if it leads into something like September 9th, if any kind of upside leads into even Nvidia earnings in a couple of days, I think we have to pay close attention. Tesla broke down. Tesla breaking down, yes, going into the top of the zone multiple times. We're just waiting to react, right? We're waiting to see a little curl up of this 30-minute. Maybe that can give us a hint of what is to come. What do I see for Microsoft? I was looking at Microsoft and Google. Microsoft look fantastic, actually. This is the one. Okay, so when I came on the live show this afternoon, I was trying to figure out, I was like, which one was I looking at? I know I was looking at the Qs. I know I was looking a little bit at Amazon and Tesla. This was the other one. This is divergence here. You have it on the MACD. You have it on the RSI. What happens a lot of the time when this confirms? Well, it's confirming now. If that thing can go positive, what would happen? This 2-hour would cross up. This 2-hour would cross up. Maybe you'd get some kind of brief touch of this area and then start to fall down. But all you need to know is, hey, there's 30-minute divergence here. If that keeps going positive, watch for that 2-hour to curl up. And then Google, looking at this one, this is one that more had an argument for, I would say, a further downside, even on the daily scale. I would really like this. And I think it's a 4-hour that looks better, but I would really like to see this from Google as we've kind of seen this flagging out. I'd really like to just see this trap some people and then get a big move with that dividend. That'd be pretty nice. We'll see though. A lot can happen. GameStop really starting to break down here, seeing if that can curl down on a daily MACD. Really starting to fall down here. Let's look at this. What's happened all day? Seems like we just trickle lower pretty much all day. All right, Qs are trying to cross back down on a 5-minute. What does that mean for this? Well, that means that this isn't fully playing out, right? These aren't playing out to upside. So if we needed to, we might need to reload, right? Do you see the little that's the structure we're probably going to look for on the way up if this can curl back up. Right now, that's curling down. So that just tells me, maybe we are going to experience more of a pullback. This has not confirmed yet, right? Football in 2 weeks. Yeah, Microsoft looks okay. You always want to be managing those trades, right? Microsoft looks okay. Do what you will with the information that, hey, it looks like momentum is dying out on a 30-minute. Crazier stuff happens on a 30-minute, so you have to be managing that trade. If you start to see even little 15-minute rollovers, if this 15-minute here for the Qs rolls over, do you think that divergence is going to be able to play out? No, that 15-minute is probably going to have to turn back up. So just something to pay attention to. We can put this on a 5-minute chart for the end of the day here for fun. See if anything crazy happens. You're smart and kind and modest with a great voice. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Man, when I was a kid, everyone said I have a nasally gay voice, and they are right. But that's okay with me, because it's my voice, okay? CrowdStrike. Not a lot to go off of here besides there was a ton of divergence at the highs. You can see all those divergences on the MACD and RSI. The real trade was this little crossover right here. And guess what? 2 hour starts to roll over, doesn't it? So 2 hour then rolls over. Awesome. The divergence gave you a little hint. Even with this blip up, divergence gave you a little hint that, hey, there's going to be some downside. Now you're experiencing that. I don't necessarily want to be like, oh, this is going to reverse forever, because that 2 hour could just get close to that center line and then you see what? The swing trade setup. What? The swing trade setup? The only problem with that is I hate the fact that earnings is around this. Whenever I talk about a stock, I start to analyze it, and then I see this little E. It's so annoying. It's so freaking annoying. Now, look for this 4 hour. If that continues to head down, that could be some bad stuff. But we want to see, does this come out after hours? Yeah, so same as Nvidia. So 50-50 shot this week happening Wednesday after hours for CrowdStrike. Volatility not able to fully cross down as of right now. Is that 30-minute signal still crossing us down as of right now? It is. So we shall see. Dow is heading down, and that's kind of the only thing that I'm like, ooh, but it's not heading down dramatically with this 30-minute. You're seeing it kind of try to carve out. That's kind of the thing with that. But the 2 hour rotates down. If that 2 hour gives a red bar here, that might not be a good sign. But it could be a sign that we're just going up into this little area. That could be a breakout area we're trying to get through. Maybe we consolidate for a brief moment and you see some little structure in here. It's not the best head and shoulders, but head and shoulders always looks wonky. There's head and shoulders everywhere on every chart. So you really have to just be cautious with it and make sure you're paying attention to those signals. Thoughts on Mullen? Yeah, I looked at this guy this morning a little bit. Oh wait, what is it? Is it MULN? Yeah, got it. Yeah, this one here, I was looking at, but if that 2 hour rotates down, there's no positivity. If you're trying to see if there's another upward move, what are you going to see? You're going to see this 30-minute curl up. This is the first time you're just saying, okay, well, what did I see up here? No divergence here, but I see it on the RSI, right? I see that downward move here on the RSI. While the price action heads higher, it tells me there could be a 30-minute pullback when this crosses, or a 2 hour pullback when this crosses. So what's happening as of right now with the 2 hour? It looks like it's about to cross down. Where is that? Negative territory. What does that tell me? If this 2 hour crosses, ooh, bad things can happen. Right? And then I want to see, does that taper? Does that give me a double bottom in some way? Because this was seriously down. I need to see if that rolls down and creates some kind of tapering here that then gives me this 2 hour crosses down, crosses back up. That's when I would really take the opportunity. If Mullen set that up, that's when I would be like, okay, that's an opportunity, right? That's just the easier play. If that doesn't set up, I'm not going to do anything, right? I'm not going to risk money on a less easy. If I just waited and looked around for easy setups, I would do a lot better, right? That's kind of what I've done. I hope that was helpful overall, but that 2 hour crosses down, you got 30-minute divergence above it. Obviously, if the 30-minute curls up, move to the upside. 2 hour curls down, you're in negative territory. You could go make a divergence. If you don't, something bad could really start to happen. Thank you, Luke. See you tomorrow. Bye, Mark. Hope you have a great, great day. Have a fantastic day for me, all right? Even AMD looking at this 30-minute. Even AMD looking at this 30-minute. I'm just saying. I'm not saying things have to go higher. I'm just saying there are some signals to pay attention to. Relatively flat here for the MACD. Blow up the RSI. Blow it up. What do we notice here? Slightly up, actually. Just barely up here, giving you that little divergence. So AMD even, if it caught some buyers, that's the key thing, right? When you see a divergence, it's not this has to lead to upside. It's with some good news, this can lead to upside. With some good buying, this could lead to upside. It's a point to pay attention. Even when it's in an upside direction, it's still just a point to pay attention and say, maybe I'll position myself this way and manage the trade in case the buyers don't show up. Yeah, gold being funky. That's one thing that's interesting for me is gold still sitting at this level, trying to break through too. It's still trying to break through again. So if you're really looking at this, what do you look at? Well, that 2 hour is still curled up. So if we continue to go higher here, that's cool. We can go a little bit higher. Watch out. It just tells me I need to be very careful if there is an upside move over the next couple of days. I need to be very careful, because things are not looking very good for gold if that really confirms, right? I just see if that confirms. If it consolidates again, awesome. But if it confirms, then I'm going to be like, that's not great. SMCI, I was looking at this one while we were taking a little break there in the afternoon, just seeing what this could do, looking at the 4 hour actually, seeing that curl down as of right now. So the most likely direction for SMCI is down. right? We'll see if that can give any kind of divergence or something for a double bottom, but there could be an opportunity to get in early on something if this could curl back up after this curl down. We'll see what happens. Let's go back over to the Qs just for a little bit, put this on a 5-minute chart. Notice that that is starting to cross over on a 5-minute. Maybe it is creating that little head and shoulders, or maybe something really bad is going to happen. The thing we need to watch now, this is bad, right? But if it could turn back up, that might immediately be a good sign. You see the structure, we have divergences down here. Okay, awesome. Now I can say if this curls up, good things can happen. Luckily, I'm holding lots of gold. Well, the hard asset is still holding a lot of good value in my opinion. I mean, shoot, I think they said like a bar of gold is worth almost $1 million or something, right? Like a full bar. Bit of a fight, dollar trying to break out. We've got one thing that was worrying me was the housing sector. We see some divergence here for the 5-minute. We'll see if that pops anything up, but the housing sector too, just seeing if this 2-hour can roll over. The reason I'm paying attention closely here is, yeah, I'm looking for if this creates a handle to head higher. You notice the structure looking like a little handle would be nice. But I also have to pay attention to this in case it's more dramatic. In case this daily really flips over and just goes like that, we could be in a housing crisis all of a sudden, right? I'm not leaning towards that. I think we actually do see this carve that out and then curl back up. But I gotta make sure to note this is a bad signal. If that turns back around, okay, awesome, more positivity. You trade me the gold bar for AMC call? Nope. I would take a rental fee. That's what I would take. Because AMC calls lose their value with time, right? So I need some kind of time compensation. As far as it goes for SMH, the semiconductors, you just want to see if this daily is able to roll over still. It's going to look a lot like something like, you know, Nvidia and those kinds of things that hold a big weight here. We did notice the pretty much double top, if not just the divergence level up here. That's what we were pointing out. See this curl down, swing trade back up, short squeezes to the upside, awesome. Start to consolidate for the most part. If this would curl down, that would be a bad sign. But if this 2-hour just curls back up soon, that's really what I'm looking for in this area. And what I want to do is see, is there divergence down at these lows or something? Can I get a hint? Can I get a little hint? And as we look at this, what do you notice? Well, upward move for the MACD, starting to reject, but upward move for the MACD. Upward move for the RSI. So if this does confirm up, that would mean, hey, we have a high likelihood to curl up that 2-hour, aka break through this level, head a little bit higher. Has any of that happened yet? Have we seen this cross up? Have we seen this cross up? Have we seen this get above the center line? No, it hasn't. So we got to be a little patient. Yeah, even with the lower rates, people still, you know, they don't want to buy that house. And then if anything, you know, if a presidential candidate comes out and says, hey, we're going to give you $25,000 for a down payment, would you buy a house right now before the election? Or would you more so be like, hey, if that person won, I get $25,000? All right, let's see. Someone asking about Bitcoin for a moment. Let's go check on that just briefly. Looking at this, we love this move. We really were stating how if you break above these type of levels, you can get through 63, I think, what is it, 63.3K, pretty much where we're at right now. If we can hold in this zone, this is a great sign still, getting a little excited past these breakdown areas, right? So we're getting a little excited. So if we dip down and just curl right back up, that could be a good sign. One thing to pay attention to, the shortest time frame I pay attention to is the 2-hour. We're noticing what? Yeah, the price actually moves sideways now down, but this just went straight down to the center line. So if that can curl up at any time, you would see some positivity. That's what it's overall stating to me. If we need a deeper pullback, we would test the breakout area, right? We would test the breakout area. That would make the most sense. So it's just, are we going to flip this around right now and see that 2-hour pop up and go start making new highs, start to get up into these areas? Or do we need to dip down a little bit deeper? Yes, it is, Sid. Yes, it is. Yeah. Considering that, I don't know if they forgot that they are in charge right now and they could implement some things to really help people out if they really wanted to, but it's obviously everything in life is a trade. No matter how you look at it, everything is a trade. And it would just raise the housing price by exactly $25,000 a piece. You are right on that as well, Shane. But for the most part, you would say, if you think it would really help people, if your goal is to help people, you're in charge right now. I mean, I think that's a very stupid policy. I'm just saying, like, I don't agree with the policy. That's my opinion. I don't agree with it. I think it will cause more inflation. I think it'll hurt people more than it helps at the end of the day. But it is what it is. It'll hurt them a lot more. But if people see it as helpful, it doesn't matter. People can't see past a lot of things. It's kind of like that age-old question of, do I offer you $100,000 now or $1 million over the next 20 years? Which one do you take? Do you guys know which one you take? Do you guys know which one you're supposed to take? It's like, hey, I'll give you $100,000 now or $1 million over the next 20 years. Which one do you take? All right, Tina and Scott got it spot on. But people hear the word million and they go, oh, I want the million. It's a bigger number. The only problem is, one, someone pointed out inflation. Inflation can really hurt that. But at the same time, $100,000, if you take that and say you put it into, depending on where it's at, you put it into the S&P 500 or you invest it in some way, you could actually make more money than if you had the $1 million. You could have that be in some kind of compounding interest with dividends and all that good stuff, and you'll probably have more than $1 million in 20 years. Time is not your friend. That's a good way to look at it too. And it's kind of like, you're guaranteed that value of that money right now. We know inflation's been bad, so you could say that the $1 million later on could be worth less than $1 million now. So you want that $100,000 now. Because even if they gave you a $50,000 check next year, that might only be worth $40,000 now in a year from now. For short Fridays with the $20. Awesome. The upper class keeps all of the money, pays none of the taxes. The middle class pays all of the taxes, does all of the work. The poor are there just to scare the shit out of the middle class. Thank you for the $20 and the overall fun quote, I would say. Overall fun quote. I'm just about 5 million versus 1 penny doubling every day. You take the double every time. If you get 1 penny and you double it, and you double it and you double it, I think what is it? If you double $1 to $2 to $4, I think it's if you do that only like 9 times, you're at like something crazy number. Pretty sure. Let's go see over here. It's like, see this, 2, then we'll do it over here. We'll do 1, well, let's do a penny. This is equal to this times 2, enter. Awesome. Pull, pull, pull. Let's see, how many doubles is that? 41. All right, to get to $1 million, you would have to double a penny and then continue to double that money. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 25 times. So to start with a penny and end up with way over $1 million actually with the math here, but still with the $1 million. Oh wait, 25, 26, 27, 28. Sorry, 28 times. So you'd have to do that 28 times. Now, if you start at $1, that really changes things. If you start at $100, that really changes things. If you start at $10,000, that really changes things. Last 5, let's see the volume. Looks like the people who were voting, we're not going to end back in that move by the end of the day. So far, you're right. We're closing that down. We're in the last 4 minutes here. So we have 53% saying yes, 46 saying hell no. AMC going to finish negative? Well, probably, I wouldn't say so, but, you know, there's 3 minutes left. This thing's going down pretty consistently. Why are bonds going higher? Well, they just announced a rate cut. If we just want to take it very, very simply. And that's being priced in because the market usually prices it in before it happens. Like the rates will already be down by the time the cut comes in, right? Rate cut helps TMF, this guy right here. Well, it's treasury bills. It's bullish, right? So rate cuts are the opposite side of this. This goes down, TLT and other things like that go up, right? That's all. Elf, didn't we look at this morning? I thought we looked at this morning for just a little bit here. Big drop down, looking for a 30-minute pullback in some way, but overall, this could just be a 2-hour going down. See if that crosses back above. That'd be a good sign. Not too much to do there. I really want to see if this sees anything in this last 5 minutes here. We got about, actually 1.5 minutes left. Not much time left. And volatility is starting to pick up. This signal, 5-hour curled down, so, or 5-minute curled down, not likely to curl up that 30-minute as of right now. 30-minute has not confirmed up, so if anyone's, you know, looking at this and because I said there's a verse down here, you're trying to jump in early, that 5-minute cross back down. Yeah, there could be a big upward move tomorrow, but usually I like to wait until this little guy goes bloop. Or if I wanted to take the 5-minute little signal right down in here, okay, now I'd know to manage that, and then if that can curl back up, that'd be a good sign. We'll see. Are the markets doomed? I can't say they're doomed if I'm seeing a 30-minute signal like this. I think we need the price action of tomorrow. Because tomorrow you could easily do that with this type of price action, right? You could easily do that. But you have 4 hours that are saying, hey, we might need to pull back further, right? So overall, though, this is a pretty good signal to see in a pullback. We'll see if it plays out. Thank you again, Short Fridays, for the $20. I want to make sure to show you some gratitude for that. I really do appreciate it. I promise you, I am trying to go get that damn sandwich. But whenever I need to do it, I go up, I'm like, let's go get it. She's like, we got to do something else. And I'm like, damn it. All right, so we did close today right around 475.35 for the Qs, closing outside of the expected move. So everyone who voted no, we are going to close in the daily expected moves, and you said no, we're not, you get a cookie. You get a cookie, and you get you get you get you get a bear. There you go. You get a bear. All of you people who voted yes, you don't get this bear. You don't get it. This is for the people who said no, okay? You guys get a bear. I gotta learn how to draw a bull. I don't want to attempt it right now because my wife will make fun of me. But you get a little drawing of bear share if you remember from back in the day, if you are maybe a millennial and or something like that and you used to steal music. Bear share. Looks like Mickey Mouse. All right, guys. Well, let's really sum this up. All right, let's really sum it up and just say, hey, thank you guys for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I mean, you guys came for the closing stream once again. That is awesome. We have over 100 people, and that is because of you guys liking these videos. It really is. You guys always showing up, showing interest, asking questions. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's fantastic, and I think you guys are awesome. And you guys are saying I'm awesome, and thank you and all that stuff, but thank you guys. Now, we do have some signals to pay attention to. Who wants a YouTube video tonight? Should we make a little YouTube video tonight? Should we make a YouTube video tonight? That way we're very clear on these signals. Huh? Apple's starting to go green. Apple's starting to go green in the after hours. Let's see. Oh, great move from Apple. Were you able to turn up a 2-hour? And look at that 2-hour. That looks like a good experience. Breakout move. 100% on the YouTube. Yes, we want a YouTube video. Okay, then I better get to work on that. I don't want to ruin it right now. You guys were paying attention to this with me. Obviously, you saw what I was paying attention to live. We're also paying attention to things like the dollar. It is ramping up, even though we're seeing some positive price action out there. We are seeing the dollar ramp up with this as well. That can continue for a little bit. We'll pay attention to it, and we'll talk about that in tonight's video. We'll talk very deeply about the Qs. We'll give you guys those daily expected moves for tomorrow. Very, very important to watch the YouTube videos this week. I'm just going to tell you right now, even if you need to just come over just to get the daily ranges, very, very important, especially for Thursday's daily ranges, for pretty much Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all three of those are going to be important days to have those ranges to really see what the reactions are, where we're at, if the buyers can step in, all that good stuff. So I will get those going. Usually it takes me usually I have to wait till about an hour after the close to really get the best reading for implied volatility, but we will give you guys those new updated ranges here in a little bit. So make sure to, go grab a snack, go have some fun for a little bit and just be like, okay, let me mark off a time later tonight that I'm going to get those updated daily ranges. Hopefully we have some bigger ones than this today. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a great day so far. I hope you have a better afternoon. I hope you have a fantastic dinner filled with hook and reel sandwiches. And overall, I look forward to seeing you guys on YouTube in a bit, and I'll stream with you guys tomorrow morning. And Jeremiah, thank you so much for the $1.99 in the super chat. Really appreciate it, Jeremiah. Hopefully you're doing well out there. All right, guys, I'm going to get to work on your guys' YouTube video for you. So come back in a little bit, and I'll have that posted. All right? Peace.